Okay, so let's continue. We have our end result that we want. For me, that's a feeling that I want to have about my life and in my life in about 10 to 20 years or so. And we have broken down what we imagine will help us to reach those feelings into three or four, maybe bigger goals. And then we have broken down each of those bigger goals into three, I say two to four, maybe you just make it however, whatever works for you. Smaller goals that we believe will bring us to that. And I say we think might take us there because we don't actually know exactly what it is necessarily that will help us to reach that goal because things change, circumstances change. Technology changes, all the things that we want change based on changing circumstances in our lives. So this is just kind of a for now type of thing that's going to evolve over the years or over the time span that we set for this. So we have our bigger goal. We broke it down into the smaller goals. And now what we're doing with one of those smaller goals, the one that we decide that we're ready to work on right now, is we're going to break that down into really, really tiny action steps and put those on the calendar. And so the reason we break it down into really small, teeny tiny things is that helps to eliminate the problem of procrastination or feeling like something is just too big and too overwhelming to start. And it makes it easy to know exactly what you're going to be doing on each day in order to achieve this end result. So with your small goal, try to imagine getting into the feeling of already having achieved that goal. Like, what do you imagine you will feel once you have it, once you've reached it? And what are the things that you can think of right now that make you feel that feeling? We'll get more into this in the next video. So really think about, like, imagine yourself, close your eyes, picture yourself having achieved this smaller goal, how proud you are of yourself for doing that, how the results you have from that are bringing in whatever it is into your life. It could be you made a certain amount of money. It could be you met the love of your life. It could be that your home is just sparkling and gorgeous and you love being there. It could be you're going on these amazing trips and seeing all of these beautiful different places. Whatever it is, just imagine yourself having reached it and how you would feel. And then from that centered, already in the feeling mode, you are going to then imagine what you did from the standpoint of already having reached the goal. Imagine what you did over the last 90 days to reach it. And my whole philosophy on achieving goals and working toward them is that we don't have to feel hustly. And in fact, it works a lot better to continue working on it until you achieve it if you set it in a way that is going to work for you and the pace you want to go and the kind of feeling calm and centered and not forcing yourself forward. So what are some really simple ways you can imagine reaching that goal? For now, you're just going to write down all of the possible ways you can imagine it would be. Whether they feel good or bad right now doesn't matter necessarily. Just start letting it flow. Like, let's say you want to meet somebody, a man or a woman, for a romantic relationship. So you could say, I'm going to get out of the house and go wherever it might be, to the park or to the library or to some place that might be open right now, a restaurant, a certain number of days in a month. And I'm going to attempt to start a conversation with somebody a certain number of times. Or it could be I'm going to join Match.com or whatever app could be your app of choice and reach out to this number of people. So notice how I'm making sure it's really specific. Like I'm going to do this exact thing this number of times. And that way it's not some random, I'm going to go meet people, right? Because that's not as obvious, like how are we going to go meet people? And so the how is what you're writing down right now. And if you are stuck right now in, I don't know how, I don't know what it's going to take to reach this, then it doesn't even matter. Like all we're doing at the moment is just brainstorming all of the possible ways. And the how, the exact how, doesn't matter because it will come to us as we start taking smaller and smaller steps. So like I said before, this is just ideas. This is just opening the door to reaching these final goals, and it's not going to stay the same. And so that's where you don't need to be stuck in like perfectionism or doing this the right way, because it's going to change no matter what. Whether we pick the right goals or the right action steps right now doesn't even matter. They're going to change down the line, but making these decisions right now is what's going to help us to actually get things flowing and then changing as they're supposed to in the future. If we're not deciding now, if we're not taking action right now, nothing's going to change. We're not going to be able to, make that overall result happen in our life just by chance and letting things be how they are. Maybe. I mean, that's the idea, is that we can make change now rather than just waiting for things to come along to us, right? I mean, maybe magically they would come along to us and that would be wonderful. But what we're doing is we're feeling a sense of control over where we're going, and we are able to decide what we want and go for that, which I think is actually pretty miraculous that we get to choose that. Anyway, back to our teeny tiny steps. You've written down all of the possible ways you think you're going to reach this. And right now, you may be in just trial and error mode. So what are some of the things that you want to start with trying in order to reach this 90-day goal? And those are the things that you're going to break down into really, really small actionable steps. And you can add them to your calendar if you want to. There are some things I like to add to my calendar occasionally, and this is different person to person, of course, but I tried being really specific on my calendar, and then I just really hated having my calendar look so full. I like the open space to decide to do whatever it is I want to do in certain moments, and so what I've begun doing with my goal action steps is I just have them all listed out in the order that I would do them. And then when I have the time to work toward it, whether that's when my work time starts or an hour in the afternoon for something that's not work related or whatever it is, then I go look at my list and I just do the very next thing that's on the list. So if it works better for you to add it to your calendar or to have a reminder at a very specific time that pops up and says, this is what you're supposed to work on now, so that you don't have to spend time deciding in the moment, then that's just fine. Just do whatever works for you, whatever you can find. But I've found that it is extremely important to have a really specific, really easy next step to do. So it wouldn't be go clean my closet. It would be go take 5 things out of my closet that I don't want to have in there anymore and put them in a pile, because that's really easy. You could just do that in like 5 seconds, maybe a little bit more, but really it's something that you would not be like, oh, I don't want to go do it. It's like, this is so easy. I can't talk myself out of doing it. So break it down, teeny tiny steps, write down your list in the order that you want to do it. You can add it to your calendar. You can just go to that list when you have a block of time that you can work on this. Or you can also do what I did before, which is write all of them down on sticky notes and have it on a wall or a big poster board. Put it in order. You cross it off when you finish it and put it in a stack, and you can burn the stack later or whatever it is you want to do with it. So you've made all your decisions ahead of time. Remember that things will change, and that's okay. You make all the decisions ahead of time of what you think you can do to reach this goal, and then you are putting it in a usable format in order of how you want to take action on these. Okay, I will see you in the next video.